Welcome to Certain Point of View, your first step into a much nerdier world. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on iTunes. Just go to certainpov.com. Thanks. And now your hosts, Ben Milton and Addy Thomas.
Hey, Nerferders, I'm Addy Thomas.
And I am Ben Milton.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to be talking about Logan. Where plenty of spoilers are going to be in this episode, just so you know. Before we get to that, don't forget you can check out the weight loss challenge. You can check out Patreon, check out our social media. All of that is on our website, certainpov.com. Ben, do you have anything to add to any of those?
I hate you. So you're kicking my ass in this weight loss challenge right now.
Yeah.
But hashtag Team Ben, do not give up on me. He's up by 19 pounds at the moment. That's just temporary, okay? I'm about to make a strong comeback in this thing.
Sound like
and
the hair in the story.
The tortoise and the hare. I am totally tortoising this thing.
No, you're the
off,
hare.
You're off to a fast
You're
start.
taking a nap. There's a big difference.
I'm totally tortoising this thing.
All right.
You're off to a fast
Your
start.
overconfidence is your weakness.
Your faith in your undereating is yours, you fat bastard.
Well, you can find out all about that. You can follow our adventures in weight loss on our website, certainpov.com. Case, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Nerferders.
Glad to have you back, buddy. We had a great night tonight.
We did. I was not thinking about the weight loss challenge while we were watching Logan tonight.
Yeah,
because you offered us the
I kept
nachos.
on being like, here's some nachos, here's some popcorn, here's some bunch of
crunch.
crunch.
I can smell the bunch of crunch, and I was like, oh, I want to say yes, but no.
When I remember the weight loss challenge, I just wanted to do it more, but by that point, I'd already eaten most of the bunch of crunch.
This is totally fine. I'm not a bunch of crunch fan, so like you really didn't tempt me much tonight, except for the nachos, where I was just like, oh, melted cheese.
Well, to be fair, though, total disclaimer, I did have Five Guys before.
And a milkshake, you fat
yes,
bastard.
I did. So,
Yeah.
cheat meal,
You did good. You did good.
Yeah. Anyway, so, all right, so Logan.
Yeah. Ooh,
Wow, what a movie.
So that's what an R-rated X-Men movie looks like.
Unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Violent. All sorts of violent.
I think we can agree, like Deadpool was not an X-Men movie. Like, it's part of the X-Men franchise.
Yeah.
But like, this is that promise that we've been getting since that first time we saw the trailer where
Yeah.
Wolverine's standing on top of the Statue of Liberty and his claws pop out and he's facing off a different version of Sabretooth than we'd get in later movies. Like, we've been
that's right, the
promised. Yeah,
different Sabretooth
Tyler Mane versus
Yeah.
Leif Schreiber.
Right.
But yeah, like, we've been promised a Wolverine with actual claws cutting into people for what? 15 years? 17 years?
Yeah,
Yeah, 17 years?
17
Jesus
years.
Christ.
17, 18 years, yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
So, and we finally got that movie, and they open up the movie with that.
Yeah.
it's
Oh, yeah.
amazing. Amazing film.
It was. I'm glad they finally gave them freedom, not just in terms of violence, but a story that's not conventionally a superhero story.
Yeah. I do want to say, I don't think that. So I came out of this movie very positive. I don't want to say that it's the violence that made me go like, oh yeah, this movie's good because of the violence.
Right.
Although there are definitely some violent scenes that I was like, yes!
Yeah.
Particularly some interesting uses of mutant powers other than claws that were used
yeah.
for violent ends that I was very happy with. But the fact that they could use violence and that they didn't care who was doing the violence and like who was being violenced upon was a nice touch for this movie because, man, it is brutal in all regards, not just violence, everything.
The thing is,
Emotionally,
the thing is, you were
physically.
legitimately rooting for those characters at those points. So the violence was totally earned. It
didn't feel gratuitous.
Not in the least.
It felt totally natural, really, to the plots of the movie of what was happening with those characters at that moment. Nothing
Right.
was like, oh, well, I guess like they were just like trying to figure out how to use this special effect. They're like, oh, we have this mutant who can do this. Let's figure out a way to throw that in.
Yeah, other than like a moment where like and of course, I mean, so far we've gone into this without any spoilers, but I'm just gonna warn everybody: there are lots of spoilers in this. If you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to get any spoilers, just like put this aside, come back to this episode for whatever reason. You should know by now that this show is just pretty much spoilers all around, but just giving you fair warning.
Yeah, all right, get to it.
Yeah. But I actually think this when I talk about this movie being brutal, honestly, I think the emotional toll
Oh yeah.
is really what kind of hit me over the head. I mean, like, I can't. There's so many scenes that just like hit me hard. Like the first time you see just Xavier's condition, like just really like that. I was so emotionally crushed right there at the beginning with that.
Yeah, especially later when you hear the radio and they cut it off, but you hear just enough to understand exactly what happened with Xavier,
right?
Based on like the bits and pieces we've gotten before. But ooh, wow,
yeah,
ooh, yeah, it's so like, man, they use those powers in ways that are brutal and have repercussions, and you can see why everyone's hurting.
yeah, oh man,
yeah. Some sort of weird.
This movie. It hit a little too close to home for me emotionally.
Yeah.
like, there was a lot of stuff that
there's a lot of social commentary in this movie. At first, I thought they were just making references to some things. Like there's a lot of like fake product placement throughout the movie, and I was noticing it earlier. And then we find out there's actually a plot reason for a lot of it, and that was a nice touch. Some people might think it kind of comes out of nowhere, but like I was really noticing a lot of like stickers and ads for the same fake products consistently, and it was very fun to have that all. Hold on. I think we just need to do like a quick like recap of our thoughts on the movie and then just go because like I'm starting to get into like the
minutia.
Yeah. I thought this was a fun movie. I really liked the like just this like slow crawl towards Wolverine's death.
Yes,
Like that, which is what this was.
Yeah.
And everything about that is in service to him having this like last moment of redemption before he dies. Like this is ultimate. Like this is like the ultimate Viking death, where it's like death in the name of a greater cause and showing bravery up until that moment, and so that you know you died a good death.
yeah.
In a lot of ways, this is the best Thor movie you could make.
He was definitely worthy. Definitely worthy. Yeah, it's interesting. Like for me, it was a lot about like family and what does family mean, and Wolverine coming to terms with that after all that's happened with the X-Men and Xavier and the tragedy of his long, painful life.
Yeah.
And finding redemption in a second generation of himself, really, and seeing that through was really, really cool. Really cool for me. Very cool.
Yeah, I love this movie. Like just fresh off of this movie, I honestly can't think of any really big criticisms. I can't even think of a whole lot of minor critiques for this movie. The emotional toll, the theme of family, I think was the one that stuck out for me as well. I think the interesting thing for that is the whole idea of Logan having something to, having that kind of loss and regaining and gaining purpose isn't anything new to the movies we've seen with Hugh Jackman. But this was this was executed in the best way possible.
Yeah, I was thinking multiple times throughout the movie about the trailers for the Wolverine, like the second movie in the sequence. Man, this is the weirdest trilogy of movies in terms of titles ever.
Oh, yeah.
X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Wolverine, Logan. Like there's no consistency or logic to it. And I don't think they really ever want them to be connected, but they are because it's Hugh Jackman's standalone Wolverine movies.
Yeah.
But man, that's a hard it's a hard sequence to put together. But anyway, so in The Wolverine, like all the stuff is about like you've lived such a long life, don't you want it to finally end, and yada yada yada. I'm not healing like I used to. Like it's all the same basic tropes that this movie does, but this movie just does so much better.
Yeah.
I
like the Wolverine, but
do too. Yeah, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Like that one was a fine X-Men movie. It wasn't the best. It was not even when it came out. It wasn't like the best we'd seen up until that point. But it did have Wolverine fighting ninjas, and that was awesome.
Yeah, but coming back to the idea of family, I think there's an interesting. It's interesting because at this point, just because we've lived with these characters and these actors as these characters for such a long time, I think there almost that sense of loss feels earned in a different way. Just because you have that history and you have characters you can connect to them, and we've had bad movies that we've had to suffer through too, so we've had in a weird way there's some of that loss we've seen, and now now finally getting Wolverine and Charles' last road trip and their final sense of purpose and what matters to them. I couldn't, I was so crushed when Xavier dies.
Yeah, that was I think actually my favorite scene in total, but like especially like him dying. I was thinking, man, this is a really good death for Patrick Stewart.
Yes.
Like I don't know. I mean, he's kind of old. Like this might be the last time we get like a good death scene for him, and like this could be the one that we'll like remember down the line.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I think both Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman's best performance in these movies. In my opinion, I don't know. Do you guys think?
Yeah,
got anything? I think there was a lot more nuance required for this particular role compared to any of the other movies that they've done.
yeah,
too.
I mean, like with Xavier here, this is a different version than we've ever seen, where he's suffering and he's kind of broken and he has actual loss that he has to atone for. And it's not his arc, so we don't focus on that, but it is a different character than the Xavier we've seen in any other movie. Like the closest they ever came was like the future version from Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
But even that's not
even
it's
close.
not his fault. It's just he's just existing in a crapsack world. Like this one, he actually has a lot of shit that he did, and he can't even quite remember it, but he knows he did something.
Right.
And it was really nice for that. The Logan that we're getting in this movie is very similar to the Wolverine that we've always had, but it's just it's like the perfect version of it. It's like the distilled, proper version of that character that they've kind of toyed with since the first movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they've definitely been leading him down this path and trying to get it right through especially through the trilogy of single standalone Wolverine films. And you're right. You're right. Distilling it is the proper analysis of it. Like they distilled down to what the character is really about and what's important to make that character work on film with Hugh Jackman. I still don't. In my opinion, Hugh Jackman's still not the tone perfect Logan.
He's not the comic book Wolverine, and I knew you were going to say that because we've talked about this one a lot.
Yeah.
But for this Hugh
world and this-
Jackman
and
Wolverine,
he nailed it.
This is
it.
This is the ultimate movie. Like they have nice callbacks to the other ones too. Like the adamantium bullet is from X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
The fact that it plays a
that's
big
right.
part is like a weird detail. And also he's got the katana from the Wolverine sitting over
On
his
the-
bed.
yeah.
Like so they actually do tie into not just like the X-Men movies that people like, but they're like, no, this is the culmination of everything we've done, and we're going to make you care about details that were relevant to movies that you didn't like. Like they reference the Statue of Liberty. They reference the adamantium bullet plays a big part. There's the sword. There's got to be some stuff for the.
I'm sure there's tons
the
of
other ones,
references
but
that I just
through the other
didn't
X-Men movies.
recall.
Beyond just the fact that they're X-Men movies, like.
The company Transition, was that the first time we had seen them?
I feel like it was.
I think at least under that name.
Yeah.
I don't
know.
I don't
It's hard to
recall
say.
seeing any of that before, the Reavers before, or anything like that. Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah, it was
all new.
nice that they included the Reavers as
and
well.
called
Yeah.
them the Reavers.
And I'm glad
yeah.
they brought in Caliban as well. I liked Stephen Merchant as Caliban as well.
Yeah,
I thought that
really
was
good.
also-
Yeah, it was a good.
Really
it was a
good.
good role for that character. I would have liked a little bit more seeing him broken and being and actually like submitting to them, like sending them or like using him as a tracker. Just a little bit more because we don't see enough of it. Like he's kind of like working for them once they like torture him just a little bit, and it would have been nice to like subjugate him a little bit more. Like a few more times where they could have twisted the knife a little more would have been nice. Only because like this movie is like the ultimate knife twist, so why not just go all the way?
Right.
Like when Wolverine died, I was saying like we were all talking after the movie where it's like, well, don't they have more of that green juice? And in my head, I'm thinking like, well, but probably it wouldn't really work because at that point his heart's been ripped up and like his cardiovascular system's
Yeah.
not going to get it. But what if it started to, but it just wasn't enough and he still died? Like that would have been the ultimate knife twist right there.
Yeah.
Where it's like he heals the scars that are up on his face, but his heart's still like bleeding out. Like.
Yeah, it wasn't necessary.
No, not necessary. This movie was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's an ultimate knife twist. Like you could do a little bit more, but
the end
these are-
result is the same. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
you might even have had those scenes and you cut it for time because the movie's not short.
No, it did go on, but it didn't lag though. I never really felt like I was like, okay,
It
let's
didn't
keep
lag,
things
but it
moving.
is slow.
Yeah,
Like,
which is fine.
It's a slow, ponderous thing.
Yeah, which
And
I love.
That was delightful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nice to have a superhero movie like that. For as far as serious superhero movies go, like this feels like I don't know if a new standard is the right word for it, but it's definitely a standout for among a very serious, like, because obviously the MCU movies are a little bit, a lot more fun. They they have some good character moments.
They're
here
your
and there.
typical summer blockbuster movies, though.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
just-
they play to the
aim for
form
fun.
and like the nature of screenwriting very much so. Like
Right.
the timing on it is very beat for beat.
Right.
No matter how well they do it, it's still beat it out in a way that's like, this is how movies are written, and they do really good jobs with it. This movie is like an older style movie, like, and it really calls on old westerns.
Exactly, which Shane was a great
Reference, yeah.
Yeah, that
to
was
it.
nice.
And oh god, when X-23 or when Laura's quoting Shane at his funeral, like that's what that got me there. There were a lot of moments that got me. The dinner table when they're all having fun. Those were this movie feels like a collection of a lot of small moments strung together very effectively to tell this story. But those small moments, I think, really are what make you care more than like having the swearing, having the R rating for the violence. All of that is totally earned, but the moments that I remember are a lot of those small moments. Logan just passing out from exhaustion while driving. After driving, and she takes over. I mean, those were just beautiful moments.
Yeah, another like strange, beautiful moment for me was when he berserks on the truck
Yes.
and just passes out at the truck.
Yeah.
Like that was like, I was like, that's a Wolverine thing to do. Like just losing his temper and just berserk rage and just beating the thing that he can't fix because he doesn't know what else to do. It was so like that was tone perfect for the comic book Wolverine.
Right.
Like that was great for me.
Yeah. I actually don't want to see Hugh Jackman in Deadpool 2 now.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of just want this to be it.
Yeah, this needs to be the last, the send off for Patrick Stewart and
This
for
was
Hugh Jackman.
this was great. Like I liked every moment of it. There was a few spots where I'm like, I don't know if this is going to touch me in the way that like some other movies have touched me, but even then, those like. I don't know. Like it ultimately was such a good. Like I said, it was a little slow, so there was never like a moment up until like I think when Patrick Stewart died, where I was like, oh, this is going to be like in my pantheon of the greatest superhero movies of all time, but it's going to be in my list of like good ones.
Yeah.
And then like it got there like towards
Eventually,
the end.
Yeah.
But like I said, because it's slow and it's ponderous, and it never like ramps up to a speed where you're like, oh man, yeah, I'm really with this whole movie. It's that when you get there, you're like, man, yeah, that was a good
This was
ride.
worth the ride. Yeah.
An interesting thing to compare to, and obviously, I don't remember what your thoughts were on this particular movie. I kind of was reminded about Ang Lee's Hulk a couple times in this movie.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I liked Ang Lee's Hulk.
I did
Okay,
too.
that's
I
what
think everybody in
that's
this
what I
room
thought, 'cause I
likes
was-
Ang Lee's Hulk.
We're
yeah.
like, I didn't
Not
like it
a
at
great
the time.
movie, but I
No,
liked
no,
it.
it's not perfect.
Yeah.
I think Ang Lee's Hulk is mostly broken up, or like the biggest flaws in it were that Ang Lee was too excited about doing a comic book movie,
Yeah.
where and then also doing a deeper psychological study, and those two things kind of didn't mesh because he wanted the big comic booky ideas probably should not have been for his Hulk movie that he wanted to be about emotions.
Yeah.
Like those were in opposition to each
Yeah,
other.
they didn't-
But
yeah, it didn't
I
mesh
liked
well.
the emotional stuff, and I also kind of dug the structural things that he was doing as a director. But like the emotional stuff, I thought was very nice, and like
Yeah.
the
But there was the blockbuster type stuff that just didn't really work in that.
yeah,
movie.
if that had been part of like Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, like the comic book panel-y kind of things,
Yes.
that might have been more interesting, like a brighter, more colorful world kind of movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
But that was something I was thinking about at different moments in the movie. Just like it just kind of felt like the emotional stuff I think resonated.
Yeah,
like, felt
that's
like
a really
that.
good comparison.
Yeah.
I was getting a lot of like old Western
Yes.
feel to it of like
Which
again
makes
the
sense for James
pacing
Mangold,
and the
too.
slow like and just watching the hero kind of like reminded me of Unforgiven in a lot of ways with Clint Eastwood, like just like the old hero who's like it's going out one last time.
Yeah.
Reluctantly fighting the bad guys.
Well, and Mangold has experience in that. I mean, he did the remake of 3:10 to Yuma with Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. So, it was, obviously this Wolverine is the right character for it. I'm glad he got a chance to do this particular movie. I know he was trying to go for a lot of that in the Wolverine. And a lot of that worked, but like we've talked about there.
Yeah, it's not that one wasn't perfect. This one's just a better version of a very similar idea.
Yeah.
I'm just really happy that this movie was made.
Yeah. And it's funny because in this movie I wasn't sure whether or not they were going to kill off Logan or not, but it was funny. I came to a certain point where I felt like, you know what? I'm fine with whatever they do with him. If he gets to live on, I'm fine, and if he dies, I'm fine.
Yeah, because when they get to Eden, like I was like, oh well, maybe they'll have him take Charles's place, and he'll now be the professor who leads these new mutants. And I was like, that could like I'd be okay with that. Like that feels like an okay story for me. And then when it was like, oh, there's no way he lives through this. I was like, and I'm totally okay with that. Like that makes totally good story too. Like they did a great job of keeping me guessing. Like usually, like I think we all are like pretty good of like I know where this is going.
I just realized the black kid's Storm Son.
Oh,
God damn it!
I was trying to figure it out. I was like,
just realized that.
I didn't think lightning.
No, that just clicked.
But she's gonna be disappointed. He's fat.
The whole time I'm like watching, like once they like introduce the kids and show that they're still alive. Spoiler.
All the nurses are dead.
Oh yeah, all the nurses are dead. I was like, I wonder whose kid, like the whole time, and like we figured out who Iceman's kid was pretty fast because the Frost. Oh, did you notice that a lot of them had like breath versions of superpowers?
Yes.
Like it was like breath control of plants and breath ice, and like it wasn't just like I can control plants. It was that I breathed on plants and I control them,
which was strange.
Well, it made it extra creepy for that last kill too, which I was like, I'm all for it.
Yeah, that actually I have to imagine like before when they were just filming it and it's just a bunch of kids just breathing. It's like in a circle around this guy. Yeah, there were a few moments that are silly in this movie. Like, it's not that this movie is like 100% perfect and like the best tonal movie ever. But like,
I really liked that scene.
It was a good scene.
I really liked it.
That these kids finally are actually killing someone. Like, and it's not just on X-23, which is a bonding thing for them. Like now she's not like alone. Wolverine being the killer of the X-Men kept him apart, but this actually keeps them together as runaways. Who have all had to do things that are a little bit beyond a moral code.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think happens to them, to the kids?
I don't care.
Yeah, at this point, I don't like. I hope they don't continue the story. I mean, it's not that I don't want to see. Was it Daphne Keane is the kid?
God, she was great.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit, that little girl was a good actress.
Yeah, amazing.
She was the anti-Jake Lloyd of kid actors.
Yeah.
Every now and then we get a good one. Every now and then.
Wow.
Or at least one good role, But yeah. No, you're right. I mean, the moment she starts like finally speaking in Spanish, like just totally threw me for a loop. But
too close to home, man.
I
Too
know.
close to home for me.
I know.
Can we talk about the setting for a second? So I really dug the future that they presented. Well, like I mentioned the product placement thing, and I noticed that fairly early on. And then they set it up like the genetically engineered corn with like the giant crop things, and I was like, that is such a perfect thing of the future. Like that's exactly where we're going right now with like the like a much more industrialized. Like it's the same process that we started in like Great Britain with the Industrial Revolution into today, where like genetically engineered corn is a thing of today with like automated farm equipment. Yeah. Like that's a thing now. Like the small American farm doesn't really exist anymore. And
not profitably.
No, not profitably. So that was like a nice touch there. The fact that on the road you still had some drivers, but that all of the freight trucks were automated was perfect. Mm-hmm. Like that was exactly what I wanted to see. Like we were seeing this like very cool future world, and the only post-apocalyptic stuff was really just regular Texas anyway, so it was fine. Like the world that we were seeing was just it was well done. Like Logan being an Uber driver was a nice touch, like in the beginning, and like that's how he's seen.
And that fucking limo was awesome.
yeah.
That thing was beautiful. I want one.
That thing was Chrysler 24. They called it.
It was a 24 Chrysler because it was in 2029.
Right.
So it was a 5-year-old car.
Okay, yeah, that's what.
It was
yeah.
awesome. It was all. They need to come out with that now. That thing was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was. Oh man.
Yeah, there were a lot of nice touches. The phones were a little retro. I was thinking, it's like, well, I guess people do need like earbud dongles. And
yeah, I didn't
jacks.
think about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Apple, but that's just a stupid idea.
Yeah, that's right. They still have headphone jacks in the future.
Well, clearly, because they'll go back, like it's what the market is going to say, and consumers want it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's just the bottom line. Apple's trying to push this shit. I'm sorry, it's just not cool. I'm sorry. It's just stupid. Give me my damn headphone jack. I'm not buying your iPhone 8. It's not happening. That's where I draw the line on my headphone jacks.
Yes, that is the only thing.
I'm glad you can
mess with a lot of stuff on my phone, but don't screw with my headphone jack.
Yeah.
I demand that. That's where I won't go in the future. That's where I'll just be like, nope, I'm gonna be an old man about that. I think that. Like you said, like there was just so many like great, small, quiet moments for the characters to interact. Which was great about this film and what James Mangold did was he gave room for the characters and the actors to interact with each other instead of just trying to get to the next action sequence.
Right.
Like there was plenty of time for us to see Logan and Xavier interact. In ways that we've never seen them interact before, which was really nice. And there was a lot of time for Logan and X-23 to interact and create relationships so that we did care about these characters. Yeah. One of my biggest complaints about like superhero blockbustery movies is that everybody's so excited to do these big, huge spectacle explosion fight scenes that they lose the characters in the story. Like they don't have the story. Like the down times are just a chance for you to kind of catch your breath so that they can get you to the next big spectacle. And this film never felt like they were rushing or trying to get you to the next big spectacle, even though the fight scenes were fantastic.
Oh yeah,
and just like some of them like took your breath away. Where
finally
you're just like,
the best Berserker
holy
rage.
Smokes, yeah,
Yeah.
Or even in Vegas,
And Team Berserker Rage.
Yes.
Oh my god,
Oh man.
X-23. Wow.
Every time in the trailer when they showed that shot where she runs up his back and jumps up, like that got me every time. And in the movie itself,
It's even better.
It looks better in the
It's
movie. In the
even
trailer,
better.
I thought it looked a little too wire-foo.
Oh,
but
really?
I think they just like touched it up just enough and cut around it properly,
Yeah.
so that
And
like
built up
it
to
looks
it, yeah.
really good in the actual movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have an of exposure of her fighting style along the way for you to go, okay, that makes total sense in this scenario.
Yeah, because she's flipping all over the place.
Dude, when
And they had the
she
foot
takes
claw,
on X-24 and she's just berserking on him, and it's just blah, 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 blah,
which also X-24
was
I was happy that they were able to keep X-24 out of any trailers. And
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that-
That was a nice
that was a genuine
surprise.
surprise.
Yeah, that was a really nice surprise. Although it makes sense now because I had read something earlier that there was the plan was to have Sabretooth in the movie, which I assume would have been in the X-24 role,
Right.
Which
yeah.
actually also would have
it
been
would have
cool.
been cool, yeah, to have Liev Schreiber again because he was one of the few things I did like about Wolverine Origins.
Yeah, he was really good.
I think either would have worked for ultimately what the big point for this movie is. It's beyond just like, oh, I have a dark past, which is always the Wolverine shtick.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's the sins that you commit earlier in your life come back to haunt you, and they stay with you no matter what.
And I think that's why it was appropriate that it was Hugh Jackman and that it was it was
like,
Wolverine, not Sabretooth.
Well, Sabretooth would have been fine because that would have been his like it's his
still his
time.
past.
Like that-
coming to come
But
back.
I think this movie stands alone a little bit better. Because
Yeah, it would have been an immediate callback to the X-Men Origins.
right,
Like,
and so like calling back to that movie is like, yes, you can do it, but it's nice to keep it like like
in
off
the shadows,
corner.
in the shadows, a little bit of like,
because it is part of a shameful past.
You can give it a nod, but you don't want to like shine a flashlight on it. And
Right.
like,
Well,
hey, look
exactly.
at this.
And like I liked X-24 being kind of a nod to a bunch of things in the comics. Like he when he got shot in the eye, I was thinking that he looked a lot like Albert, the robot Wolverine that was like running around for a little while. Because like his big thing was that he had like a Terminator part of his like face blown off. So that was kind of a nice touch there. And like we've seen that kind of like Weapon X kind of thing where it's like we're gonna make the perfect weapon, and
Right.
So and this is really it. Like if Wolverine was Weapon X and this is just like a continuation of the project, like ultimately, yes, it's Wolverine stripped of morality is that like perfect weapon for them, what they always wanted. And so you can see that
Except it's not though, which is what's great about it, because it gets away from them. Like, and it kills the Eric DeSalle from ER. He kills that whole family, and then he kills all of the
it goes
people.
berserk, but it never leaves their control really. Like
They're telling him to stop and come back, and he doesn't.
Yeah, but relatively speaking.
Yeah, well, I mean that. Yeah, but that it's still not perfect.
Well, that's why it's still like the plan is flawed, but he is the best they would ever get with that plan.
Yeah, but it's still. I think that the fact that the point more was being stripped of morality was sort of the key element of that of X-24. And yes, that's right. They weren't able to totally control it, but it was the closest that they've been able to get to with being able to control any like Weapon X experiment. It seems like. Yeah. So it was also cool, that again, like there was the connection.
I don't know,
of the
Lady
character to Weapon
Deathstrike seemed to
X.
work pretty well for the 8 seconds she was in the movie. Worst death ever.
Sorry, quick tangent. Did you guys watch the Oscars?
No, I didn't.
Have you seen the gifs of Nicole Kidman's awkward clapping?
I've heard about it. I haven't actually seen it. Though.
So I was like way earlier in the Oscars. I was like every time, like
'cause it was like completely unnatural.
Just always
right?
cut to Nicole Kidman, and then like they actually kept to that statement. Like I was like, yes, this is great. And then they showed her clapping, and the best description was like, it's as if she was explained what clapping was on the way driving over there, but no one had the chance to actually show her. But she has like these like crazy long fingers, and the whole time I was thinking like it's like, man, I'd hate to like whitewash it, but she would make a really great Lady Deathstrike right now.
Lady Deathstrike so white. Is that where we just went with that?
Basically, yeah.
All right, I'm cool with it.
But I mean, she's partially artificial at this point. Like her face is mostly plastic. Like,
it totally works for
we're
me.
going into that like cybernetic character. It works fine.
If Scarlett Johansson can be an Akira, then it's totally okay with me. It's totally okay with me.
Yeah, let's.
Is there anything else, guys? I feel like we've pretty much
it
wrapped
made
it
me
up
like
for tonight.
X-23, which is not a character I love in the comics.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I was digging it. I
I
enjoyed the use of the foot blades. I didn't. I mean, it was nice that they like had like a kind of an explanation for it.
Oh,
For
yeah.
like what I do think it's kind of a shitty thing. It was just like it'd be cool if she had blades in her feet, but like. Yeah, they are cool, but
Yeah.
like when you try to like have like a reason for it, I'm like even more annoyed. It's like I don't really love
Just let us know. We know it's cool. Just let it be.
yeah,
at that.
like I don't love the bone claws. I think that was a bad choice when they made that. Like at the time, I thought it was really cool, but like thinking about it, like I'm like, yeah, I would rather they just be knives that were implanted in his arms. And so having her have extra knives would be really cool, but having it be like, no, but because she's female, she's got claws that come out between her toes. Like none of that makes sense.
Yeah. That was a little kind of odd. Like when he's saying that, I was like, okay, thanks, Charles.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I will say I'm really glad they did with X-24. It wasn't fucking Daken.
What do you
Yes,
Like
that's right.
the son of
son
Wolverine.
of Wolverine.
Like they could have very easily given him tattoos and had only or had the 3 claws be in the different configuration, or just been poisonous or whatever the fuck, and just been like just enough of a nod for it to be like a straight up Daken or Dakin or whatever the fuck you pronounce it. Like they didn't do that, and I'm so glad they didn't.
Yeah. This felt like it had. I know Old Man Logan has been the one that there's been a lot of talk about that people.
Everybody kind of when we heard the first call, it was going to be Logan, and an end of
this
life
is
story.
not that story.
Oh, no, not
the
at all.
only thing similar is that it is about Logan, and he
Dying.
happens to be an old man.
Well, I
And
think,
he
I think
dies.
some of the aesthetic is there just because it is out in
was
the Southwest.
Oh, yeah.
And an incident that seems to have killed a lot of mutants. Because in the comic, it's Wolverine who's mind controlled by Mysterio to think he's fighting a bunch of villains, and it's actually all the X-Men that he kills.
Yeah, that's true.
And of course here instead they've kind of given it to Logan to Xavier having this episode that ends up wiping out a bunch of people and mutants basically.
Oh, one thing I did really like that I do want to mention is so the whole thing with Wolverine. So it's like his healing factor. It's being suppressed by like the fact that they've got like the mutant suppressing thing out, right? That's the deal.
No,
or is it just
the adamantium?
No,
it's the adamantium.
The adamantium is what's actually poisoning him.
Yes,
right.
And like,
but that's slowing his healing factor.
I thought the healing factor starting to go down is why the adamantium started to poison him, and that was then creating a domino effect where it's getting even worse.
I thought it was because of the adamantium.
Or is it just that he's getting old and his healing factor isn't keeping up?
I think. Yeah.
Okay, like that's also fine. But I thought like it's like, oh, that could actually be kind of a nice touch. Whereas like because they like tie it all back to the Weapon X program and all that. But either way, I like that the adamantium was the thing that was poisoning him because that was an idea later on conceived. And I thought it was really innovative and like a good reason for why you have to be like a Wolverine style like healing mutant just to have that kind of like weaponry and like armament built into you.
Right.
That was a nice touch in the comics when they first did that, and I was glad to see that here. Because it took me a second to realize why he was saying like, "Oh, you're like something's actually eating away at you, something's killing you," and when I was like, "Oh, fuck, it's the actual metal in his body."
Right. Yeah. It's poisoning.
That's great.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah, it felt like it took some cues from Death of Wolverine there too, and there were a couple other moments from Death of Wolverine that kind of had some like callbacks that were kind of
Yeah, they did a good job of just kind of like grabbing the best pieces of a lot of different stories.
Yeah.
For how like I mean they've played with Wolverine's death for years and years and years.
Yeah,
and they pulled a couple really good pieces, the best pieces out of all those stories, and wove it together in a new story, which was really good.
Yeah. Well, I hope this can like be the ultimate like closing the book on the Hugh Jackman Wolverine. Like it was a nice run. It was a little different from what we expected when we first talked about doing a Wolverine movie back 17 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's been a nice run, and clearly we had like a really strong finish. And now we can go back to Wolverine.
Who's going to be the next guy?
Well, it needs to be someone who's Robert Downey Jr. is the next.
I'm sorry, what?
No. So he's saying who's going to be the next Wolverine. You're saying who's going to be the next.
Sorry, I'm thinking about like character send-offs right now.
I just want Wolverine to go back to being aggressively stocky.
Yes. He can't be more than 5'1".
Yeah. The word stout should describe him.
I want him to look.
Danny DeVito.
I want him to look up to Tom Cruise.
Yeah, but Danny DeVito, but like ripped like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. I want.
So what was that? Was that twins?
Yes. Danny DeVito just roided out of his damn mind is what I want.
Yeah.
Like hairy, ugly, mean as shit. And roided the fuck up.
Is Vern Troyer too short for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There are limits. He's not a midget. He's just short.
I was thinking about character send-offs because
Robert Downey Jr.
Because we haven't had a lot of we haven't had a lot of these characters like get necessarily a natural conclusion to their stories because most of these have either been like these franchises have either been canceled because the movies haven't done so well. Like I guess Spider-Man 3 was the closest we got to it, and we had Christian
long
Bale
enough in there,
Yeah, Christian Bale's the only one as Batman,
and that felt forced and too soon.
That was awful.
Yeah. We have not had a franchise go this long. Like Iron Man happened so much later into the lifespan of like the superhero movie renaissance relative to when X-Men started.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So like if Robert Downey Jr. retired right now, it still wouldn't have like the sheer weight of like the length of that career as a superhero in that role.
Yeah. But
it's still getting there, and he was older when he started it. But
that's true. It'll be interesting though to see how like if anybody could really kind of match sort of the emotional weight of a send off ever again. I don't think they can.
They will be able to. They'll be able to match it eventually. They'll be able to match it eventually. You'll cry like a bitch if they ever kill Rocket and Groot.
Yeah, no, that would be rough.
Yeah, but that's going to be a little different because that's when you take the comic character and make it into comic relief characters. I mean, and make it into like a sad moment at the end.
That was too dark for me, man.
I told you.
Yeah, I can't think about Rocket dying. Well, I mean, like Groot can regenerate usually, so like I feel like they'll find a way around that always. Well, I hope.
I think they will have to do a send off for Thor, like maybe not a permanent death for the God of Thunder, but for as like the Chris Hemsworth Thor.
Yeah, they have
because
to.
like he can't start showing his age really.
Yeah.
Like it starts to strain credibility for that one.
I mean, they have to get rid of. You have to get rid of Chris Evans as Cap. You have to get rid of Hemsworth as Thor. You have to get rid of Robert Downey Jr.
You have to get rid of everybody eventually.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
those
those two could go down against Thanos, and it could be a great scene where like Thor gets a good send off, and his hammer's still sitting there. Chris Evans picks up the hammer.
That's true. That's
and
what
then
I'm
he
expecting
fights Thanos,
Evans
but
to
he
pick it
goes down and he dies at the end, and you could have both of them die, and then at the end of the movie, the after credits, someone picks up the hammer, and that's how Thor lives again.
That's right.
And,
well,
and Robert Downey Jr. And Robert Downey
Yeah.
Jr. is so distraught over the fact that Thor in Cap or Dead, he kills himself. Too dark.
I don't see that happening.
Too dark.
That feels a little bit more random. I was like, all right.
You gotta
It's almost like him
reboot
getting to
somehow,
the end of
guys.
the movie and being like, "I need to destroy all my armors."
He has made some really erratic decisions. in
No,
these
that's
films.
true. That's true.
But he's had like weird radioactive materials inside his chest for a decade now. So
Right.
not
Now he doesn't.
Now he doesn't.
Yeah.
He should have extremis inside his chest. But okay, sure.
Yeah.
Potato.
Well, let us know what you think about Logan. Did you feel it had the same? Did it resonate with you emotionally just as much as it did with us? Do you have any nitpicks that you want to throw out there? Who do you want to be the next Wolverine? You can let us know through a variety of social media. All of that is on our website, certainpov.com. While you're there, check out what we're doing through Patreon and, of course, our weight loss challenge. Again, all of that is at our website, certainpov.com. And until next week, stay scruffy, my nerf herders.
Thanks for listening to Certain Point of View. Don't miss an episode. Just subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on iTunes. Head over to certainpov.com.